Okay, so welcome to our table talk about PD resources. I have a feeling that we're going to have more people joining us as we get going. We've had over 30 people register. We only have 9 in the room with us right now. If you're not sharing your video, feel free to do that. You don't have to share your video to join us, but we want to give you that opportunity. For those of you who are kind of new to Zoom, if you need to access the rest of your computer, if Zoom is sort of taking up your entire screen and you can't see anything else, you hit the escape key on your keyboard. That'll allow you to access your desktop and your menus and all that again. We are able to hear you if you unmute your microphone, but we're asking that you use the raise your hand function. I'll try to say this a couple of times since we don't have everybody with us yet. But if you'll raise your hand if you have a question or a comment or anything else that you'd like to say, that'll kind of help us to keep from talking over each other a little bit. I'm going to ask you that you have a little bit of patience with us. We're doing some new things today that we haven't done before, so we haven't quite worked all the kinks out of this form of presentation. My name is Jen Woodrum. I'm a PD coach, and I'm joining you from Dallas, Texas. I've been a PD coach for about 3 years now, and have been running a lot of the webinars, if you've seen me there before. And I wanted to introduce the 2 other coaches who are going to be also kind of helping answer questions and guide our meeting today. The first is Michelle Foster, over to the square to my right, and Pete Cluck, who I see is below me. I don't know if he is in the same place for everybody. If you're only seeing me right now and you want to be able to see everybody else, at the top right-hand corner of your screen, there is a speaker view and a gallery view. If you click on gallery view, that will allow you to see the squares of everybody who is sharing their video with us. We do have 14 participants in the room right now, and we only have 7 videos, so half of us are not sharing the video. Again, feel free to do that at any time. This meeting is about PD resources, and so we have several PD resources that we've prepared to show you around the web, basically. But we first want to give the meeting to those of you who are participating and ask you, are there any PD resources that you want us to show? Are there PD resources? Where have you found PD resources? All those kinds of things. And so let's get started with you guys, and go ahead and raise your hands if you have a question to get us started or a comment to get us started. And please introduce yourself when you first speak. Do we know how to use the raise your hand feature? Is that an issue? Michelle, do you know how to give instructions on how to tell people how to raise their hands?
Yeah, at the bottom it says there's a spot there that says manage participants or participants. And if you click on that, it gives you a list, and it gives you options to raise your hand. Should give you options to raise your hand or not raise your hand.
Okay, so give you guys just a few seconds to, if you can't find it, go ahead and unmute yourself so that we know. Okay, Jennifer Young.
Yeah, I'm looking for some information today. We're going to Illinois in May to talk to like an Illinois State Ladies Conference, and it's an hour-long talk, but we're looking for like a 15 to 20 minute interactive activity we could do with the ladies, and we're not quite sure what we could do with them. So I was just looking for some help for that.
Okay. Michelle, do you want to take it?
Well, for about 20 minutes, a good activity that really gets people up and moving would be what we call the people chain, which, have you heard of it before? Yeah, okay. Have you done it before? You're muted, yes. Sorry.
Yes, we have, yes.
Okay. There are several variations of how you can do that as well. So if you've done it one way, you can consider doing it a different way, like where you're piling all the jobs onto one person and having them try to do it all and then handing off jobs as it goes. Or you can have them going across the stage to get to where they're trying to go. Another one that would work is John 3:16, where you have the verse, and the way I've done it is actually backwards from the way it's written, where I have them, they're all holding pages with one word from John 3:16 in it. And I have it divided in groups of 5 words from easiest to hardest. and I have them imagine that they're learning a language. And so as they learn the language, they turn the next 5 easiest ones over until they get to the end, so they can see the impact of having a language in their heart language, having a Bible in their heart language, so they can understand those really hard words. Pete, Jen?
Those are really good ones. People Chain is always my go-to when I need to do a 20-minute interactive thing. I've not heard of the Bible one before. I guess the way I've heard it is the opposite of what you said, is starting with a full verse and then taking away the words that you wouldn't know based on how much of the language you've interacted with. Another kind of demonstration that I've done is with, I don't know if you have the blank Bible, the Bible without the words inside of it, that you get from the gift shop. But I'll start off kind of talking about, in your heart language, this is what scripture sounds like, and read an important verse or passage from the English Bible. And then I'll talk about, for people who are doing a second language, we might read it from, this is what it would have sounded like if it was untranslated, and read it from the Greek. So kind of talking about, this is how it originally started, but it got translated to English, so now it's in our heart language. But if we went to, say, Hawaii, then we would read the Hawaiian Pidgin Bible and say, this is what it sounds like. And you can kind of understand it, but it really doesn't speak to the heart of the person still. You still kind of have to wade through it a little bit and then move into the blank Bible and show, this is what it's like for people who have no access to God's Word. It doesn't quite take 20 minutes, but it still does get people interacting a little bit. Peter, I don't know if you have any other suggestions.
Yeah, another suggestion takes a little bit more preparation perhaps on your part, Jennifer, but just to have an open discussion, say, imagine you wanted to translate the Bible for people in XYZ country. What do you think you'd need to do? What types of work would need to get done? And let them just brainstorm from their experience, and you fill in the gaps. And if they think, well, we'll just teach you how to translate the Bible, what would that mean? Is there a written language? What type would we have to study the language ahead of time? Would we need to know something about the culture to do that? And to make it more of an interactive type thing where they're giving you some of the information, and you're filling in the blanks as far as what a total Bible translation project looks like. It can be really interesting because they're having an active part in giving part of the answer to the question, but you're, as the resident expert, so to speak, you're helping them understand it's not just taking a couple or a single and throwing them into the jungle for 2 years and they come out with a Bible.
To add to what Pete said, it might be helpful to have like a large piece of poster board or a whiteboard that you can write these things down so people are actually watching what it takes to accumulate in front of them.
So it's kind of like the people chain, except without the props with the people chain. They have to come up with the people chain idea.
Okay. Anybody else? Or Jennifer, did you have further comments?
No, that's grand. That'll give me a good place to start. Thanks.
Great. Anybody else? If you've just joined us, we're asking people to raise their hands. You can do that by going to Manage Participants at the bottom of your screen, and you'll see the list of participants, and you should be able to raise your hand from that window. If we don't see anybody raise their hand, I'll go ahead and kind of launch into some of the resources that we had prepared to share. If at any time while I'm talking you think of a question, feel free to raise your hand and we'll let you interrupt me, basically. Okay. Once I start sharing my screen, we won't be able to see the physical raise your hands, so do make sure to use that electronic version. Okay. We're not seeing any, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Okay. So the first thing that I kind of prepared to do was to show a bunch of the different places where we're at on the web. And so the first one is called PD Share. And so this is something that you do have to sign up for using your SIL, JARS, Wickliff, email address. But then once you're in, you're able to kind of search through some of the resources that are already available. Some of our webinars, ideas for home meetings, church presentations, there's some testimonies, there's a few modules that are out here, momentum graphics and timelines for your newsletters, and then blogs, Facebook postcards. There's all sorts of resources that are out here, so you can kind of come out here and view what we already have, and then you can also actually contribute to this. So if you've created something for Facebook, or you've created a really cool timeline or a momentum graphic, or I found a video or created a video that you think would be helpful to others, you're able to share those resources here. And you can see this, Michelle, if you want to grab this URL and put it into the chat, we'll put this in the chat for you guys, and you can grab this if you want to sign up. Another resource that everybody's able to use is the Wickliff. We have a partnership development Facebook page. We have quite a few members in here, and it's kind of a more informal place where people are able to talk and share ideas, talk about things that are coming up, ask questions. And so you'll see Jeff Schapp here. He's with the video team, and he's talking a little bit about our Wickliff videos. We put all of our webinars and table talks in here. People talk about ways to thank partners, how to write meaningful cards. People ask questions about presentations and that kind of thing. This is a closed group. You'll see that here. What that means is that you can search for it. So if you search for Wickliff PD, you'll find our group, but you can't actually see what's happening in the group unless you're a member. When you request membership, we will have to approve you, because we do have people who don't belong to Wickliff or one of our Wickliff affiliates, sister organizations that do try to join, and so we do prevent people who don't belong in the group from joining the group. Also, we do have to approve your posts, and so posts have to be appropriate. They need to be about partnership development. We don't want to sort of dovetail into other conversations, but it's been a really great place for people to kind of talk and get to know each other and to get help from one another. Another resource, and this is just Wickliffe's page on Facebook. There's actually quite a few of us Wickliff folks out on Facebook, and so there's Wickliff Canada, there's Wickliff UK, there's Wickliff in different places. Different countries in Africa have their own. I think Switzerland has their own, and so you can easily find lots of different Wickliff pages, and a lot of times they'll share stories and pictures that you're able to use in your communications with your partners. If Facebook and social media is a way that you do connect with your partners, you can just share the posts that are found here. It can help you not have to always come up with your own content, and so that can be helpful if you have a goal of, say, posting multiple times a week. Maybe you create your own content once a week and borrow content the other couple of times a week. So those are just two of the Facebook pages that are available. This is Instagram, and so we don't typically think of Instagram as being on a desktop. This is usually a mobile application. But this is another place where you could find a lot of photos that Wickliff is posting. And so again, a lot of times people use this on their phone, but if you're wanting to capture the photos for your communications or to share them, this is where you can go to find that. And then skipping, I did not mean to say skipping over to get to skip. But going over to Skip, you'll see this is another Wickliff site. So skip.wickliff.net. This is a place where you need to sign up again with your organizational email. But once you do, you have access to all the photos for free. So you'll need to sign up for your account, but you'll see it once I click Browse. Kind of show you how to use the site a little bit. First, my computer is going extremely slow right now. You'll see this left-hand menu. So there's lots and lots of options from daily life, Bibles and scripture portions, holidays, language work, people, religion, and all these have subcategories. And so pages and Hinduism. And you can also use the search option up here. This is actually pretty helpful, a pretty effective way of searching. So you can search for Bible, and it'll bring up images of the Bible. And then if you see a couple of photos that you'd like to use, you can click on them. Okay, my computer's being really slow right now. But if you click on it, oh, these are more categories. That's what's happening. So I'm kind of drilling down into different categories right now. Okay, and so if I decide that I want to use this picture here, you'll see there's some different sizes. So you'll choose the size that you want to download, add to cart, and you have to actually go through the checkout process. But again, it's free. And then once you do that, you'll have the ability to download the images, and they'll also send you an email letting you know that you've made this quote-unquote purchase. But again, it'll be free as long as you are signed in with an organizational email. So that's a really great resource for photos. We have several YouTube channels. This is Wickliff USA, and they have all sorts of things. I think all of us know that there are lots of videos that Wickliff creates, but these are available for your use. We also have almost this exact same channel in Wickliff Vimeo, Vimeo's Wickliff channel, or Wickliff's Vimeo channel. But again, there's the PNG experience on YouTube, and a couple of other YouTube channels like that. We're currently working on a YouTube channel that is for the webinar specifically, and so I get a lot of questions and emails from people after our MailChimp webinars and after our TNT webinars and some of our other ones. And I'm slowly turning each of those questions into a short video so that we have a kind of video library of answers to common MailChimp questions. So we'll be releasing that to everybody at the end of this month. So that's a resource that's sort of coming up. Another common resource, another helpful resource is Wickliffenet. They have a lot of great resources on their site if you haven't already seen or been here. One is their resource menu here, and you'll see there's prayer resources, they have the scripture access statistics, spiritual development. There's a lot of great things in here, but also check out Explore. So if you go into articles, that's where you're going to start finding some of your scripture impact stories. They have great videos and images as well. So this is just really another great place if you're looking for stories to share with your partners, either orally or for your newsletters. So I come here quite a bit. A lot of these stories are longer, and so if you're using them for your newsletters, you're going to need to shorten them. And Michelle, I believe we have a document now that talks about how to shorten stories. Is that true?
I think if it's not posted now, it will be soon. Okay. So it's been worked on.
Okay. Yeah, so we do have a document that helps you kind of walk through that process if you need help on how to shorten videos, or not videos, stories. And then the last website that I have pulled up here is a call to community. This is wickliff.org. This is our own Wickliff USA website. But what I want to point out is that we do have a resource section. And so there is a section for kids. There's a section for prayer tools that you can share with your partners. There's a lot of different things that are in here that I would encourage you to really explore and kind of look through. Our marketing puts a lot of work into those things, and I know a lot of people have got a lot of benefit from sharing them with partners.
Jen, do you also want to take them to the shop.wickliff.org?
Yes,
that was there on the drop down as well. It said Shop Wickliff.
So this is another one. If you haven't already signed up, again, sign up with your Wickliff email address. And I say that because there is a special, you see this Wickliff staff. This is literally only for Wickliff staff. And so there are resources that are cheaper. There's resources that are free. And yeah, because I changed my password. I'm not going to be able to sign in anyway. I haven't signed into this account for a while, so I might not be able to get in at the moment. Michelle, do you have this available? Okay, let me stop sharing.
Yep. Just give me a minute to get it pulled up. I've been going around all the other links.
Okay, so we'll pull that up for you guys here in just a second. If I just want to say, if you're just joining us and you have questions, remember to use the raise your hand feature to let us know so that we can let you talk and ask questions as we're going along here. Or if you think of resources that I'm not hitting, and this is causing you to have ideas of things that you want to know about, please break in and let us know. The other site that I was going to bring up is our PD resource site on Unity. I think it was about a year ago now that we kind of got the fresh look for it. Michelle designed the buttons, and we did a lot of changing on reorganizing the background structure and all that. Marketing has been making a lot of new resources for us, and that's what this check out our new PD resources. I don't know if you want to call it a button, but you'll see that there's a lot of more photos besides the ones that are in Skip that you can use. I'm working on changing this a little bit in the near future. Eventually you're going to come here, and this is going to be one link, and then you're going to click on that link, and it's going to take you to a photo library so that you can see all the photos without actually having to click on them. It's going to take a little bit of work, so it's not there yet, but hopefully that will be something coming up for us. Okay, so going back to the main page. Oh, I meant to actually show you the rest of that, sorry. And so you'll see there are thank you images. These are similar to these photos up here, except they're specifically thank yous. They actually say thank you on them. And then the tools are sort of the miscellaneous category. And so you'll see certificates of appreciation, a gift in kind image, pattern bar, red and teal. That actually shouldn't be there. But these are just the newer items that are coming in. These items will forever be part of the library, but they'll only be here for up to 3 months, and then we're going to move them to their more permanent place. And I'll show you where that is as well. But I want to kind of tour this front screen before we dive in deeper. Another place is the calendar. This is just for PD, and so you'll only see PD events coming up. And so you'll see this is where our webinars are at. This is where our table talks are at. We really should have PD refresh up here, but we don't. And the next year, we're looking at taking what we've called PD refresh, which is a workshop that happened, a week-long workshop that happens in Dallas right now. And we're looking at turning that into a fully online format. And so instead of just being available to the people who are in Dallas, it'll be available to everybody. And it'll be stretched out over 2 weeks instead of 1 week. And it won't be every day. It'll probably be 3 days a week over a certain period of time each day. We're still kind of working through the logistics of what that's going to mean, but keep an eye on touch points, and we're going to be promoting it there. And also, you can always come, like I said, you can always come here. We keep this updated. So if you're ever wondering what webinars or events are coming up, this is where you can go to find that. Doug Campbell keeps that updated for us. We're very thankful for him for doing that. There's free PD resources. The PD help start here. You can also access the PD inbox. So if you don't have a PD coach and you need to talk to a PD coach, you can click here and use the PD inbox to talk to the rest of us, or to talk to a group of people who have agreed to monitor that, and we will get you the help that you need. Michelle, do you want to go ahead and share that site before I continue here?
All right, bear with me. I haven't had to share my screen in a while, so. All right, can you guys all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the shop.wickliffe.org, and when you log in, hang on, you guys are on my screen. There's this tab here called Wickliffe Staff that you won't see if you just visit the site. And so these are things that are exclusive to members to use. And now it's not letting me click on it. Oh, there we go. So I don't know how many of you are aware that you can actually get a PD kit for free thanks to the benefactor, one of our benefactors who provided funding for that. These PD kits are different from the home meeting kits in that these are meant to be used up. So there's cards, there's pens, there's magnets, there's a few brochures, not a ton, but there's a few of several of the newest ones. There's the Kate and Matt book in there, and a small poster. So it would work for a home meeting or for a small table. And most of the things that are meant to be used are given away. And so it's a really good thing. You can get one a year. So if you have a trip planned or something, you can have it shipped to, this is one of the things you don't have to pay shipping for as well. So you can have it shipped to where you're going to go on your trip, or you can have it shipped to your house. And then all these other things here. The bangtail envelopes. We don't really recommend those for a PD if you're doing a PD push, but if you have like a last minute thing that you don't have time to have a photo card or official response form for, these will do in a pinch, and you can get them from the shop.wickliffe.org. There's all the brochures are here as well. If you do have you need to do a bigger presentation, or you need a bigger, like you're doing a booth or something, they have resources for that as well. You do have to pay shipping on these ones though, the banners and such. So I think that's what I wanted to highlight most. Also, if you're signed in for some of your other things, like the books and other resources, you get a different price. The member pricing is lower, so you do want to be signed in for that as well. Okay. Back to you, Jen.
So I'm going to take us back over to Unity. Again, if you have questions or something that you want to see that we're not talking about, feel free to cut in at any time. Okay.
Let me just add real briefly here about all those resources that Michelle was talking about. We've used them in a number of church presentations, and they can really help add to your presentation. The banners, the handouts, all the little knickknacks that are available. People really like them, and especially the banners and some of the other visual type things really add a lot to a presentation if they're up on stage or over by the table that you set up as well. And yeah, you have to pay to ship the banners, but I think they're well worth it.
I'll also add that the brochure Praying for Missionaries makes a great presentation outline if you get caught at the last minute with more time than you need.
Ken Mullins just asked, can we pick them up when we are at Orlando without shipping cost? Yes, because they're not shipping it anywhere. So yeah, that's always an option. Any other questions about Shop Wickliff? Okay. Again, if you think of questions of something we've already said, you feel free to do that as well. So talking a little bit more about this site, sometimes I don't even know where to start myself. And so I want to go into the presentations and meetings, especially since that's something that was asked about earlier. So you can either go through the buttons that we have here, or you can also use this sidebar. So going into the presentations and meetings, you'll see we have a lot of different options for you to pick from. One is stories and statistics, and this is where we've been filling this up quite a bit. So if you haven't been here in a while, you should notice that there are lots and lots and lots and lots of new modules. We're trying to put them into categories that will hopefully make sense to people. We know that that's an imperfect system, but we do the best we can to make that intuitive. So there are lots of modules, again, for oral presentations or for your newsletters. Presentation activities, which is a little bit of what we started off talking about. You'll see we have that by ages. So if you're working through adults, here's the John 3:16 that I believe Michelle was giving a new spin on at the beginning of our presentation. New Testament activity, some statements on Vision 2025. I'm surprised that people chain isn't here. Oh, it's probably with all ages. Yeah, so here's a people chain. So if you want to use cards or you need a review of the instructions, you can find them here. The Smarties test, Tumblr scripts. So there's a lot of different presentation ideas that you can use from here.
And with those presentations, what we've written up is how people have told us they've used it. So don't be afraid to make it fit your situation either. You know, like we've said, I've done people chain like 3 different ways, and I've done the other ones backwards. So whatever suits your audience and your ministry.
Yeah. Craig is asking us, is an ITP still available in hard copy? How do you order it? Yes, you can still order ITP brochures. I believe you do that. Let me take you right now. I'll show you. We go down to SALT 1-to-1. So SALT 1-to-1 still does our ITP brochures for us. They are a little bit different than they were a couple of years ago. I don't know how long it's been different. I'm not good at remembering such things. But we do have a 3-panel and a 4-panel one available. The 4-panel one allows you to have a panel that's a little bit more about you and your family's Wickliff ministry. And I think the prices are probably a little bit different on that. But if you follow the instructions here, I believe, and you can go to their website. So if we go to Salt Forms, is that right? Saltforms.com. Yep, there we go. And so here's your Wickliffe invitation to partnership. And here's the order form. So you go ahead and fill in your information here. Okay, there's a kind of example of what we're looking at. And if you need one of us to help you, you can always reach out through the PD inbox. Did you have something to add, Michelle?
We had a question about sharing with other Wickliff entities. That's fine. They may not have access to Unity, but yeah, we're good to share. We do have the Creative Commons on the bottom of all of our materials, so we ask that you don't change or reproduce things, but we can share them.
That's true for this table talk, for any of our table talks or webinars. Other organizations are allowed to register and join, so do feel free to share those things, or even the recordings. Who do I contact for getting set up with member access to these resources? Michelle?
Well, if you have access to Unity, you have access to all of the stuff. And it is under the member resources, PD resources.
Yeah, so I can show you that. So if we go home, so this is where you'll start at when you first sign into Unity. And from there, you go to staff resources, PD resources. So I guess I should have showed you that. Sorry about that.
Now, if you don't have access to Unity, you would probably need to put in an IT request and state your reasons for wanting access to Unity before they would grant it.
Do you have an email address for that? I don't know that off the top of my head.
No, it would be an IT help ticket, I believe.
If they don't
it would be routed to the right person.
So if you don't have access to Unity, I don't know how you create an IT ticket without Unity. Because normally
IT is through Insight, not through Unity.
Okay. So popping back over to PD resources. Okay, and so there's some other things that are available here: display resources, PowerPoint presentations. I'm not going to drill down into each of these because we don't have enough time, but I just want to kind of give you a sense of where things are at. For those of you who have not been aware that Wickliff has changed some of their branding recently, they've changed the colors and some of the pattern bars and that kind of thing. We have this Wickliff brand. It's right in the center. These are things that you can use for MailChimp. You can use them for your print newsletters, whatever kind of communications you're trying to create. First is the fonts. Verdana and Georgia are the fonts that they're on everybody's computer. So if you have Word, if you have Publisher or anything like that, Verdana and Georgia are already going to be available. However, these two are called Decorative Fonts. Unfortunately, there's not a good preview to show you, but you do need to download these. And so if you click on the font and say open, so here's a preview of Corman Brush. You see this install button right here at the top. If you click install, it'll install it into your computer and it'll now be available to you in Word, in Publisher, and any of those programs that you normally use. And you need to do it for both of the fonts to have both of them. If you have problems with installation, again, you'd want to create an IT ticket and they would help walk you through the process. I know there are some people who've ran into quirky problems and have needed some extra help. And you'll see that right here, this teamhelp.org. This is where they've asked us to go to help with fonts. Michelle is saying to make sure that you read the guidelines. So you'll see right here at the very top where it says brand guidelines, download and read first. This is a PDF manual that just kind of walks through the ins and outs of this is how marketing would like you to use the colors, the fonts, the logos, photos, and all of that. It just kind of gives you an overview of this is how we would like you to use the materials that we're making available to you. And so you'll see if you haven't updated your logo in the past year or so, you really need to go in here and pick a new logo because they have redone it a little bit. So we want to make sure that we're using the proper ones. I want to show you how to download this. A lot of people have problems actually saving images out of Unity because it's not super intuitive, unfortunately. And so if we go into the logos, and you'll see these white ones, in case you aren't aware of this, the white ones aren't blank. They're just a white logo. And so this is putting a white logo onto a colored background. I got distracted because I was reading Michelle's comment. So to download an image, though, we would click on one of them. And then you're actually going to click on it again. Okay, and now it's gigantic. And we're going to right-click and do Save Picture As. Make sure you save it someplace you're going to be able to find it. But do you see where it says Save As Type PNG? Don't change that. Okay, we want to keep it as a PNG. If you alter that, you're going to end up with a lesser quality logo or photo, and it may not work the way you want it to work. Okay, it's going to have a background that you don't want. It's going to have an outline that you don't want. So do make sure to keep that PNG when you download. And that's true for any of the branded items. So if you're using a pattern bar, if you're using the photos, the template, any of this, just keep it as a PNG. Click on it once, click on it again, right click on it, and that'll enable you to save those different items. Additional resources, at the very beginning when I started talking about PD resources on Unity, I said this is where all the new items come from marketing. So all the new photos they give us, all the new, if they give us new pattern bars, if they give us new thank you images, new tools, it all gets put into that new area. When it leaves the new area, it will always be in additional resources. And so it might also be someplace else. It might also be with photos. It might also be with pattern bars. It might also be PowerPoint templates, but they will always be in additional resources. So if you haven't been on in a few months and you want to see what we just removed from that area, you can come here, and that's where all of it will have a permanent home. Photos, again, there's just more photos that, so you'll see there's lots of different places. Eventually, this is where that other link will look like as well. When I showed you the new resources for marketing, and I went in and it was just a list, eventually it'll go somewhere like this so that you don't have to click on each image to see a preview of it. But here's more images. Pattern bars, if you're not familiar with our pattern bars. These are things that you download just like a regular image. They can go at the bottom of your newsletter. At the top, if you want to create a frame, some people use them as dividing bars in the middle. Do be aware, and this is one of the reasons to read through the branding guidelines, do be aware of the country names and the numbers. Not because you have to serve in Africa to use the Africa pattern bar, but because they were created to go together. And so you see these are Africa 1, Africa 1, Africa 1, Africa 2, Africa 2, Africa 2. Africa 2 goes together, Africa 1 goes together. So we don't want to use Africa 1 and Pacific 3 or Africa 2 and America 1. We don't want to mix and match like that. We want them to all be...
You don't even want to mix within country. You want them all to have the same number as well.
Right, so you don't want Africa 1 and Africa 2. Doug is pointing out that the PowerPoint templates are very useful because it's new branding. I can show you those too. And unfortunately, these don't have previews, and there's really not anything I can do to change that. So you will have to click in to see the different options that we have, but I can go ahead and show you one of them. If it loads. Okay, so this is just different, you see it has the patterns, it has the proper colors, it has the proper logos.
Jen, we're not seeing it. It's not on the screen that's being shared.
Sorry about that. Okay, I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to share it properly because my computer is being fussy. But if you click through those, there are different blank slide presentations essentially that you can use for your own presentations that are already set up to use all of the approved branding elements. Sort of a quick explanation of what's in there. Newsletter templates and elements. This is these templates here are actually publisher templates and Word templates. You can click and download and use those. These are more headers to use to create your banner. Look at the branding guidelines for that if you have questions about banners, or you can reach out to myself or anybody on the PD team if you need help creating a banner for your newsletters. But these are some more elements that are available. That's all the stuff that's kind of in branding. Michelle, is there anything that you would like to pick and share?
I think now would be a good time to see if people have questions because we just threw a bunch of stuff at them.
Yes. Yes. Is there any questions, or have you thought of anything else that you want to see that I haven't shown you yet? There's obviously a lot more categories that I could still go into.
We do have that one resource that lists all the resources. And do you know where that is, Jen? Quiz time.
It should be in one of two places. These are some these are from some free PD resources that is just sort of in a list. That's not what I was hoping to find them. Topical index of PD resources, where to find PD resources. So these are more comprehensive lists of what we have. They can be a little overwhelming, but because we do have a lot, but it does, in just one document, gives you an overview of all the different things and places that you can possibly go to find resources. You'll see that it just kind of keeps going and going and going. But yeah, so that's a really helpful list. If you don't know where to start, feel free to look that up. And that was just at the PD help button. A while back, you said that templates were being created for MailChimp. Do we have an idea when they'll be available? I currently have built 3 MailChimp three MailChimp templates that are available. And that is actually, let me see if I can pull. Okay, this is the intro to MailChimp webinar page.
We can't see it, Jen.
Oh, hold on. Let me do a new share here. I don't know why it's being fussy with me. Okay, are you able to see it now? Okay, so this is the introduction to MailChimp webinar specific web page that's resources for this specific webinar. And you'll see that if you've been on this page before, I've just recently changed it. So you'll see now where I had the 3 sample newsletters, there's now a template that goes with each of those samples that are very similar to the samples. And so if you have your MailChimp account and you click on the template, it will put that template into your MailChimp account and you'll be able to use it from there. And so those are, anybody can download those. If you have problems with them, email me and I'll be happy to help. Michelle, if you want to put my email address in there, you're always free to contact me if you're having problems with that. You'll also see the visit us on YouTube. So this is the YouTube channel that I was mentioning earlier that's going to have FAQ videos from MailChimp and TNT and our other webinars on there.
Jen, a lot of people are wanting to know how to get to this. Is this when they sign up for the MailChimp webinars they come here, or?
Yeah, so this is, I guess I need to put this in more than one place. I initially created these for our members to just register for webinars and kind of access resources that go along with it. Let's do it right now so that you guys have access to it. Let me put this in the chat and then you'll have access to it right now.
I'll take the minute to plug the new webinar too. We're going to be starting the MailChimp series again on the 31st of this month. And it's a 4-week series. So if you're interested, do sign up.
Yeah, and these are the web pages that you go to. I'll eventually move these over to Unity. I wasn't thinking that I initially hadn't intended to do that, but I'm afraid if I switch screens, you're not going to be able to see what I'm sharing again. Can you see Unity? Yay, Zoom. Okay. Okay, so on Unity, if you go to the PD training videos and then go to webinars, you'll see a list of all of our webinars, and here's MailChimp. I don't currently have those resource web pages here, but I now will plan to. Hopefully by the end of next week, I'll have them all up there, and then you'll be able to access those anytime you need to. I'm going to stop share and switch screens because I've now learned that that's what's required. But I do want to point this out a little bit for people who are using the resource website. When you're attending the webinars, do take a couple minutes to check this out. This is where if the webinar has workbooks that go with it, you'll find the workbooks here every time. They'll always be in this place. If you're looking for links to the Wickliff Pinterest, PD Facebook, PD Pinterest actually, and the PD Share, that's what these 3 links are. So those will take you to more resources. The before the webinar document is important if you're new to Zoom. It'll give you information on how to use Zoom correctly, basically. This is where the recording will go once I have the recording available. I always try to put it there. The webinar outline, I have lots of people who say they really want outlines for the webinars. This is where you get them. They're always available before the session. Every webinar, well, not every webinar. If somebody else is teaching a webinar, like we had Jim Killam from the Seed Company taught at the beginning of the year, he did not yet have an outline. That is something he plans to provide in the future. But any webinar where you go to register and it looks something like this, there will be an outline available to you. So if you click on this, you'll be able to download that. Email us now. We'll take you back up to this. If you email it, it goes to our PD webinar inbox, and we get back to you as quickly as we can. And that goes to myself, Michelle Foster, and Doug Campbell. So the 3 of us try to keep an eye on that email box. And and some of these resources change. So like this one is samples of newsletters. On the MailChimp Advanced Tools, it'll be a completely different resource. So do kind of look through this each time. Live chat, we haven't really had people use this, but it is available. We as coaches try to be on here. Again, me, myself, and Doug try to be on here when registration is open for these webinars to check and make sure to see if people are chatting, and if we're online, we chat with you, or you can chat with each other, that kind of thing. So those are, again, there's a different one. So you'll see this one is Intro to MailChimp. So each time a new MailChimp webinar comes up, it's a different website. Now I'll try to get all of those into Unity so that you have access to all of them. But that's that. Are there any other questions? We have about 10 more minutes before we end. And so if you have more questions, please do share those with us so that we can answer them. And feel free to use your audio too. You don't have to type to us if you don't want to. I'm going to go ahead and pop back over to Unity if we don't get more questions though. Are we seeing Unity? Okay. Okay. So, Michelle, do you want to talk about the e-learning? Is that new? No, it's not available yet.
It's not polished yet. We're still working on an online course that would be similar to the PD Refresh workshop. And as Jen mentioned earlier, we're also redeveloping the PD Refresh workshop to be on an online format. There are some courses available. You do have to register separately for that. Did you talk about the personal ministry page at all either?
No, I haven't.
I know there's still some people out there that don't have one.
So this is the personal missionary page. I guess I should actually pop over to Wickliff.org, right? Is it on Wickliff.org? I always get Wickliff.org and Shop Wickliffe mixed up. For those of you who are like me, you do have to sign in separately for those two. So if you sign in at Wickliff.org and then go to Shop Wickliffe from here, you have to sign in again. So just kind of keep that in mind. It frustrated me to no end when they first brought all of this out. I don't know, this has not been working with me today. See if I can sign in. Shall we? Can you pull yours up too in case I can't get in? Yeah, can you pull yours up? I'm gonna have to recover my password. I'm going to talk about a little bit while she's pulling it up. Your personal missionary page is the online link that you can give to your partners. You can put it in your newsletters, you can send it in an email, but it's meant to be a little blurb about you and your Wickliff ministry. We want them to be written in third person, and so instead of saying my Wickliff ministry, we're saying Jen Woodrum's served blah, 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 blah. We do have PD coaches who are watching those, so if you update it, a PD coach will check it and make sure that it's worded well and worded in the way that we're asking our members to do that now. And she's bringing up some examples here. Michelle, I'll go ahead and let you talk.
I had to find my unmute. Actually, I was happy letting you talk and just let me do the mouse thing for you. This is my personal page. In order to set up a page, what you need to do is go up to your My Wickliff once you've signed in, and I believe it's under your profile. No, it's not.
Yeah, no, I got...
but you can update all your personal information there. I get them confused all the time. You can update all your personal information there and add a photo if you like. Under the dashboard, let's see what's there. Okay, so this is where you do your personal ministry page, missionary page. And so when you're ready, like it says right here, it's pretty self-explanatory. Everything does go live, and as Jen said, there are our leadership team keeps an eye on these, and if there's things that need to be changed, they will let you know if there's things that are not correct or might need to be changed in your description. And if you do need to shut down the page, there is a way to do that as well. So if you end up with a sensitive entity issue or something, there is a way out. So yeah, you fill in your information, and there is a word limit, but I do not remember what it is.
I think I've asked to not use this emergency shutdown button flippantly.
Right.
You only do it if you need to pull it off really quick.
Right. So you can do your location if you choose to. Some people do, some people don't. You can make this searchable on the web, which means if they do a Google search, that includes this page. So if you don't want it searchable on Google, then do not check this. Okay? So, and yeah.
If you want to
I don't have a whole lot to say about it, except that it's a good way, if you're able to have one, it's a good way for Wickliff to post you and say, yes, this is one of our people. And it adds to your credibility and your position with Wickliff. If you cannot have one, there is still a way that people can donate through here by finding a missionary and entering either your name or your member ID number. So, okay.
Doug mentioned the custom URL that's available on your PNP as well. Do go ahead and change that. I don't know if anybody has better guidelines on that. I don't know if it needs to be something specific.
It needs to be unique to you. I actually had a fun incident here recently. They shut down my page because my ID was close to one that had to be offline. So that was fun.
That's interesting. Okay. We have 5 more minutes. If there are any other questions, please let me know, or I'm going to go ahead and start kind of closing down. We are going to continue to have these sort of panel discussion and table talks, hopefully at least once a month. Ideally, we'll do it a couple of times a month in the future. Bethany is saying your PD coach will be able to give you more instructions about the PNP URL if you need more information. But as I was saying, we're going to start offering these more often. They're going to be on different topics. So this one was about PD resources. We do them on written communication, social media, and I don't know what else yet, to be quite honest. Again, this is brand new. So if there are topics that you want to hear about, feel free to email me, and we'll be happy to get one of those set up. It won't always be the same 3 coaches who are on the panel. Today it was Pete, Michelle, and myself. We will try to rotate a bit. You'll probably see the same people often, but there will be some rotation in that. Will the new webinar on MailChimp be different from the past webinars? No, those only change as MailChimp changes. And so when MailChimp changes their interface for whatever reason, then we, of course, change what we're saying to fit their new interacting experience, their new format. So yeah, the MailChimp Advanced Tools is the only one that's new. We've only had that one time and still kind of figuring out what content is going to be put in there. If there are things that you would like me to cover that I haven't covered in the past, email me and we can always add that to the Advanced Tools webinar. I'm happy to change the content on that. We want it to be what you guys want. Again, I think I have a survey prepared for this. I don't know if I have a survey link already. I will be sending out a survey either later today or tomorrow. If you wouldn't mind taking just a few minutes to fill it out. Again, we're still kind of getting our feet underneath us for these table talks, and what went well, what didn't go well. Is there a way that you wish we would have interacted that we didn't? Are there topics that we would like us to include that we didn't?
One comment about this table talk as opposed to several of our others is this one was more us showing you resources, whereas a lot of our table talks tend to be more discussion based. What works for you, what questions you have, how can we meet your specific situation?
Yeah, this was definitely a different take on it. So again, if you think of any questions after we close here, let us know by email, and we're happy to still answer them. We did record this, so if you want to watch again or share it with anybody, again, I'll make it available to you. It won't be until later today. I have to leave right now, and so I won't be able to access again until this evening, but I will get it to you guys before tomorrow, so it will be available. Pete, if you wouldn't mind praying to close this out, and we'll go ahead and end for the day.
Well, thank you for this technology. It allows us to connect from literally different places around the world. Thank you that you are the God of all the resources. You own all the cattle on 1,000 hills, and you promise to provide for our needs according to your riches and glory in Christ Jesus. Give us wisdom as we find ways to interact with those that you have already prepared, whose hearts you're working in, to join us in the ministry of Bible translation. Thank you for Jen and all our preparation, and for the opportunity just to take a look at all these tools that people have developed. Thank you for the gifting and the talents and the work of so many people to produce these fonts and these templates and these videos and these ideas, all these resources. Give us wisdom as we want to use them to help promote what you're doing and join with you along with others in bringing your word to people that don't yet have it. Thanks for the privilege of serving the great God of the universe and all that you're going to do in us and through us as we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Well, thank you for joining us, and have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.